What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Renegade Jukebox on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. Joining me once again, we've got Nick.
No public service announcement intro this time because it's not on any of the albums we're talking about.
And we've got Haley.
Hi, kids.
And
we've got some
I like
unfinished
Primus.
business. Yes, this is part 2 of the Eminem retrospective. And before we start diving into the second half of his discography, circa 2009 to present day, I'd be remiss if we didn't spend some time talking about the passing of Eminem's best friend, Proof. Now, Nick, do you want to describe a little bit of their relationship?
Yeah, definitely. I actually recommended we do this purely because when I went back and listened to the whole podcast, I was like, I'm proud of the majority of this, but we really don't get into how big of a deal, like without Proof, M wouldn't be rapping the way he does, basically, because I mean, these guys were childhood friends. These guys, Proof basically ran the hip hop shop where Eminem got his start. I mean, that end, I didn't really mention this on the D12 albums, but I mean, he really, aside from M's verses, which were obviously going to be good anyways, he really, aside from M, he's probably my second favorite member of the group.
I would agree with that.
No disrespect to anybody else, except, you know, if Bizarre hears this, well, Bizarre, yeah.
for me, it goes M, then Proof, then probably Kaniva. After that, it's like they're all just kind of varying degrees of forgettable.
I mean, with the passing of Proof, I mean, we briefly touched on this, and like I said, I don't want this to get bogged down purely by like unreleased songs because we'll be here all day. And by the way, I do know a lot about, you know, his passing and a lot of his funeral stuff, which I don't recommend going and looking up just purely out of respect to the family. I mean, I've heard it, but that's purely because I've stumbled on it, you know, just looking through YouTube at like 12 or 11 at night. But no, M put it best when he was speaking at his funeral that without Proof, that you wouldn't have the shady persona, you wouldn't have M the way he raps, and you just wouldn't have Eminem or D12 without him specifically. And it's a bummer he dies because at this point, once we start talking about the albums, I mean, God, it really got to M, and you could tell.
Oh yeah, we'll get to it when we get to them, but a good chunk of lyrics from Recovery and a little bit of Revival are definitely influenced by Proof's passing.
Yeah, and actually, I want to point something out that I just kind of found disrespectful was like, as much as I don't, and again, I don't want this to get bogged down in features, but I don't like the song Smack That, but I found this to be disrespectful from the network that had a lot more music knowledge that it might have been given either too much or too little credit, depending on your perspective. But Mike, remember how you visited Canada and know Much Music is a thing, right?
Oh yeah.
So Much Music basically replaced its year-end music video roast Fromage with this really awful show called Video on Trial, where it was basically a bunch of really unfunny D-list comedians making fun of even good music videos.
Oh, I think I remember this show.
Yeah,
Kind of like an I Love the 90s thing.
I don't know what that is actually, but basically they would take like 5 music videos across like half an hour, and then they would basically just riff it, even if the song itself was from like a good band, good artist, whichever. Like they even did an episode on fucking Stan, for Christ's sakes. But no, what they ended up doing was in the Smack That video, which again, you know my feelings on the song, whatever. But M has a chain with a P on it that's clearly a tribute to Proof. And then basically they were just making a bunch of like really like fourth grade style piss jokes about him. And I thought that was like the most dickish thing you could do. Like, fuck you guys. Come on.
Man, I do not like the sound of that at all.
Oh, this is from the same show that decided to, again, roast good bands. So take what you will from that. So while we transition from that, Mike, mind if I take the lead from here?
You have the floor, good sir.
Oh, because, guys, this is an album that I've been really excited to talk about. And it's one that's controversial amongst M fans, and it's one that I remember that was heavily anticipated. Like at this point, honestly, I was more into metal and punk rock at this point than I was at anything to do with Eminem, but I knew he was coming back with a record, basically. And I kind of touched on how he was working on a project called King Mathers that got basically scrapped. I mean, all we have is a bunch of leaks at this point that we've the internet's compiled together. But in about summer of 2008, after M gets out of rehab again, because he went back to rehab in 2005 during the Encore tour, he gets back in the studio with Dr. Dre. So this next project, purely an M project because it has the least features of any M project beyond the Slim Shady LP, and it's purely produced by Dr. Dre, sans one track we'll get to. And in May of 2009, we get that album, and it's called Relapse. Mike, I would say this is fair to say it's the final stand of Slim Shady, right? Because Shady doesn't really appear on any of the following records we're about to talk about.
Yeah, no, that's fair. This is like, the way I would describe this album is we would have gotten this right after the Marshall Mathers LP, in some sort of alternate universe. Like it sounds as close to like his first two records, but still like
still different.
Yeah, like this isn't like a nostalgic throwback, even though there is a song called Old Time's Sake,
which I'll get to that in a minute. But no, with Relapse, it's kind of a loose concept album. It's about Eminem getting out of rehab, and the Shady persona ultimately gets him to relapse, and he goes on a violent, murderous rampage throughout this entire record, which, as a big horror movie fan, I love the concept of this. I mean, 3 a.m. basically sounds like the soundtrack to a Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I love it. I don't get, you know what, Mike, screw it. I'm going to get into it. How do you feel about the accents? Because I have things to say about them.
At the time, I was kind of mixed on them. And we'll get to my thoughts on Recovery later, but around that time I kind of fell into recency bias, where once M thought the accents didn't work, I was kind of agreeing with him. But listening to this now, like I don't mind the accents. In fact, I think it kind of helps the record in a way. It helps the record stand out a little more.
Yeah, here's my thing with the accents, and I know Haley was mentioning this in our group chat when we were talking about this record.
Mm-hmm.
I get I get it to some degree because different vocal styles are not going to be for everyone. Like, just as an example with me, I like the band Protest the Hero, but I cannot stand the vocals. I'm not sorry, Protest the Hero fans. I don't like Rody Walker's voice. It's too whiny and post-hardcore-y. Like, I don't know. It's too high schoolish. Like you're going through puberty to my ears. But that's the thing. Different, like I'm saying, different vocal styles are not going to be for everybody because sometimes either for somebody it might be too high pitched, sometimes it might be too deep for some people. Sometimes somebody's voice just might get on someone's nerves, and I totally get that. But I don't think it should drag down the music that much because the music on here, oh my God, this is the closest thing to Detox we'll probably ever get because Dr. Dre is basically just firing on all cylinders with the instrumental tracks on this thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And even even the thing I keep hearing from a lot of people, surprisingly, is some people think this album is worse than Encore, which, guys, we got to talk. No song, even with Insane being, well, insane, even with that song on the record, it doesn't get to super gross and uncomfortable territories the way Encore does.
Yeah, I think this is where I'm going to step in on the accents because anybody who thinks the accents on this are somehow worse than the ones on Encore, just no, holy crap, no. I don't care for the accents on this. I think it's kind of an idea of good idea, bad execution, which I think kind of mars decent chunks of this album where it's like, I love the idea of a concept album where Eminem is fighting his alter ego that made him famous and eventually just losing to him. That sounds like fantastic. But he's not, like, Eminem is a very technically skilled rapper. He's not skilled enough to pull off these accents in a way that makes the drama of this work. It kind of, sometimes it comes off as a bit like hokey when he's not meaning it to. Like, this album doesn't have a lot of features. It may have helped him to have some features on it to differentiate some of these characters. And part of it is also that his accent slips quite a few times. It's like Eminem's an extremely gifted rapper, but the dude is not the best singer and or accent person.
Yeah, which again, I can't argue it. For me, it's just I've heard this album much more than I have the like I've obviously listened to the next records we're going to talk about a lot, but I mean, I've come back to this record way more, and it's the definition of one that grows on you.
Oh yeah.
I honestly think the problem with Relapse, its singles are badly chosen.
And they really don't fit in the narrative. Like, they're just plopped the fuck in.
Well,
yeah.
They kind of do, but at the same time, like, I do not I get it. 50 Cent's his artist. He's popular still at this point. But Crack a Bottle is not the best choice, and We Made You is not. I don't even hate We Made You, but it's not a song that I get he still wants to do his shtick of jokey leadoff single, but considering Recovery breaks that, why couldn't you have done that with this, where it's just you have a song like I'm gonna jump into one of my favorite B-sides of this record. I think My Darling should have been the leadoff single. Show that this album is a darker direction, shows that M is just on top of his lyrics as he always was, just he's not on his drugs anymore. It fits into the narrative almost perfectly. Like, you could literally have the Dr. West skit, this song be the leadoff single and opening track, go right into I love 3 a.m. as an opener, but it would make that song even better because, oh my God, it adds to the whole serial killer aspect perfectly.
I was actually about to say I think 3 a.m. should have been the lead single, but what you said probably is a little better.
I mean, like, how cool. It's already a really good storytelling song. I mean, for people who haven't heard this, this is a bonus track. And keep in mind, we're just going to talk about Refill because we're going to get into stuff in between when we're talking about the next record. But the thing with My Darling is that it's literally M just trying to come up with lyrics. He literally says in the opening line, if I were to rap about the crap that's out today, he's literally acknowledging that, yeah, I'm coming back, but I'm not going to do what you expect me to do. And then the shady persona comes in, taunts him. He's mentioning Proof dying. He's mentioning the divorce from Kim. He's mentioning how his kids are noticing he's starting to act differently around the house. Like, Shady has never been this menacing on an album, and it's so fucking great. I heavily recommend. This is like one of the best M deep cuts you could look up.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of part of what frustrates me about the singles and the way they're kind of dropped into this album is it's like they're not like that. Like the jar I felt where we go. I think my favorite on this album is Same Song and Dance, which is kind of doing the same thing where it's like Shady's really sinister now and he's fucking weird. And we're not like, you start laughing, you're like, wait a second, no, we're not laughing anymore. This is genuinely kind of disturbing. What are you doing? And then it goes straight into We Made You. It's like, no, that's not really the transition we should have had there. It's like, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's frustrating. It's like he wanted to make a grand artistic statement, which in a lot of ways he succeeds. This is one of his least bullshitty or one of the albums that has the least amount of peripheral bullshit in it. But the peripheral bullshit in it just sticks out so much more because of it.
Here's my thing with, by the way, I was actually going to say, which song is creepier amongst like the shady serial killer songs? Same Song and Dance or Stay Wide Awake? Same Song and Dance is just memorable for, it's kind of the 97 Bonnie and Clyde of the album, but then Stay Wide Awake is just so lyrically attacking you with, yes, I am going to make violent dick jokes until you die. Deal with it.
I'll say this. Like earlier today, I've had Stay Wide Awake stuck in my head. So that just shows you the staying power of that track.
Which I'm gonna talk. Mind if I fanboy over my favorite song on this album?
Yeah, which one is your favorite?
It's the Steve Berman skit, obviously.
Oh, obviously.
As great as that is, we will get to that in 1 minute. My favorite, honestly, even if Must Be the Ganja is not one of my favorite songs on the album, the placement of it on here is perfect because it transitions right into the Mr. Mathers skit, which just, you already know where this is going to go. It's going to address his overdose. Deja Vu, just to cut to the chase, Deja Vu is my favorite. It's the return, because like I was saying in the last episode, I really did not like the direction I saw M going in with the whole gangster rap shit that he was doing with 50 and that terrible Welcome to Detroit song with Trick Trick, which people can chew me out for hating that song. Every kid I grew up with thought they were some hardcore thug for listening to this, and I was just like, no, this thing sucks, get over it. But Deja Vu really felt like it was a return to M's storytelling, like a la Stan. And it just, again, details the low point he was at, like down to like Haley going and finding out that he's sleeping in cars, just eating all of this junk food. He's, not an alcoholic at this point, but he's just drinking while watching a football game. And then he's just going, I wouldn't be taking this shit if Deshaun Proof didn't die. It's like, as soon as that lyric hits you, it punches you right in the gut.
It really does.
It hurts. And then and I want to say this too. The thing that really makes Relapse stand out to me is that it's an Eminem album for sure, but it's not a typical M album in that he's making song after song trashing Kim. He's not making song after song trashing insert celebrity here of the minute. I mean, some of it's there because it kind of has to be, but at the same time, he's also doing things way more differently than he would on like MMLP or Slim Shady LP or even the Eminem show. And just knowing it's such a heartbreaking part when he admits that the one person he cares about in this world, his daughter, he's struggling to hide that from her even, and that just pours more salt in the wound. And then they found me on the bathroom floor. Damn. It's and here's the thing. I know people love to say Beautiful is their favorite song off of this record, and as great as that song is,
it's the chorus kind of tanks it.
It doesn't bother me that much. I mean, at this point, like, fun fact, this might have been on King Mathers. So basically, the thing is, M wrote the first verse when he was getting out of rehab in 2005, and then by 2007 he would have had like at least 2/3 of it done, but I can't find any concrete proof about the third verse being something he wrote once he got out of rehab, because this is one of the last tracks that he would ever do with the Bass Brothers.
By the way, do we have like an actual confirmation of why, besides Paul Rosenberg being like, nah, it's just not going to work out, but is Paul really the only reason why M no longer works with the Bass Brothers?
I have no clue, man. I've tried looking into this. The Bass Brothers are somewhere out in space with Dina Ray for all I know. But I mean,
it's just unfortunate because they are responsible for as much of that, like that set, like that specific production sound as Dr. Dre.
Yeah, I mean, they were literally one of the two producers that he would even work with on this album, or just any of the previous 3 albums, sans Encore. But no, it's I have no idea what that even looks like. But beyond just the other songs, like Deja Vu, I've said is my favorite. 3 a.m. again, you could basically transition this into a Cannibal Corpse song if you wanted. I actually really love Hello for whatever reason. I know the accent on that bothers some people for whatever reason, but I don't know. For some, it's like if you took the Slim Shady LP, took the jokey 90 edgy humor out of it, and just said, no, let's just have M talk about being a serial killer and him running away from women that he had a one night stand with. I just find a lot of this to be a lot more entertaining and fun than, even as much as I like a lot of the later records, especially like in certain pieces, none are as fun as this album for me.
I would also say, speaking of pieces, none of them are nearly as cohesive at all.
Oh, no.
Like, I know I've been sitting here being like, We Made You should have just not been here and shouldn't exist. But
I wouldn't say it shouldn't exist.
I know I'm exaggerating my point. No. But yeah, We Made You is not a bad song. It's just weirdly placed. But even with those couple of things where they realized, oh man, we got to shove a single in here somewhere, help, this is an actual full story. Like, Eminem, is one of his biggest strengths is telling a story, and it's kind of like, I think this is an album I really like and admire despite its faults, because it does do a really good job of telling that story. I think it's one of his most mature works. It's one of the ones where he plumbs the depths of himself deepest, for sure. And I wish he'd done more of that. I wish there was more Marshall telling a whole album-long story over the course of 14, 15 tracks, unless Marshall trying to break the land speed record for fastest rap in a track.
Yeah. I mean, that's of all the post encore albums, I'm just going to say this is probably my favorite. And I know that's really not popular amongst the people who are like, this is worse than encore. But no. You cannot.
There's no fucking way this is worse than encore.
You cannot tell me. You cannot tell me Old Time's Sake is that immature when you make my pee-pee go doing, doing, doing. Like, fuck off. No.
I can't imagine anyone having really anything negative to say about Old Time's Sake.
Oh, it's a great Dr. Dre song. It totally would have been. If it's not a Relapse song, it totally could have gone on Detox.
Oh, absolutely. That and Crack a Bottle, I feel like we're supposed to be on Detox.
Crack a Bottle was supposed to be on Detox.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was. That's the other dumb thing about Crack a Bottle being the first single, is that they couldn't decide who it was going to be for. Was it going to be for M's album? Was it going to be for Dre's album? Or was it going to be for 50's album?
It probably would have fit best on Dre's, but I would love to see the world where it was on 50's album, because this would have been the one that went head to head with Graduation, right? Or
no, that would have been, I think it was Curtis. That was the one that went up against the Kanye album.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm bad at time sometimes. I'm like, that would have been a show.
Oh, it would have been better than getting fucking Peep Show on that album. Ugh.
Yeah.
The less we talk about that, the better. But Haley, we're going to talk about your favorite thing, because I think I've fanboyed about how great this album is. We're going to talk about your favorite thing because the Steve Berman skit, it kind of hints at things that were supposed to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We technically can't talk about the next album yet, because if you remember your history, kids, basically the Steve Berman skit happens and M gives Steve 2 albums. And guess what the second album is supposed to be? Not Recovery, Relapse 2. So basically, M had so much material from the Relapse sessions alone that basically once he got all the drugs out of his system, his creativity came back to him. So he was working on so much music that basically Relapse 2 was basically done. It just needed to be mixed and mastered. But him and Dr. Dre do a Hawaii trip in like late 2009 or something. What ends up happening is Mr. Porter, con artist from D12, he tags along for this trip. And because M isn't liking the reception that Relapse got, that's the heartbreaking thing. Imagine putting your heart and soul into this album where you're describing how bad your life has been for the past few years and coming up from the other side more powerful than you did before. And then everybody fucking hates it.
It's so weird to me, though,
that's the biggest kick in the nuts of all. So here's what ends up happening. So Mr. Porter tells M, I want you to spaz out the way you did back at the hip hop shop. And they were recording a song called On Fire. So what ends up happening is On Fire, Ridas, and So Bad are Relapse 2 songs, and he's going to basically include those with Relapse 2 songs he already had finished, including Hell Breaks Loose. What happens next, though, is Dr. Dre at the end of the summer goes back to LA to go finish working on Detox, and then M has to go and work with different producers that aren't the Bass Brothers or Dre. So that's where Just Blaze comes into the equation, and Relapse 2 becomes an entirely different album. That's why in late 2009, we get Refill, where he basically dumps Relapse 2 leftovers and Hell Breaks Loose and whatever other song, just gets leaked or put on the next record. And that is how we get to Recovery.
I know that was a lead into Recovery, but I have to say I was so betrayed by Steve Berman in that Steve Berman sketch. I was like, man, I rooted for you this whole time.
Actually, I think I'm going to have to back you up. It's probably the funniest Steve Berman skit because it's just like, even he's just kind of roasting M on his cliches like, oh, another album about poor me, an album about how rich I am and how my lifestyle is so ruined by all of this money. It's like he's even kind of making fun of himself at this point. But Recovery.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you guys take over a little bit more and reel myself back because I've got feelings about this.
I have insane feelings about this.
I have very mixed feelings. My original thoughts way back in 2010 were that I thought this album was great. It was Eminem at his best because, again, suffering from recency bias, where like M was rapping saying like, I didn't like Relapse. That album was so I was kind of like, yeah, I don't like it either.
I'll get to that in a minute.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. But looking back, there are still some songs that I really like. Won't Back Down is probably my favorite track.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
A lot of people don't like that song, weirdly. I have no issues with that. That's probably one of the tracks that I'm a fan of on this.
Yeah, it's that Spacebound, which I like less now than I did before, and No Love minus Lil Wayne. Like, surgically remove his, I don't even want to call them verses.
What the fuck was he doing on that?
Minute. I'm really struggling to hold back because I want to go all in on this, but like I just spent like the last 20 minutes fanboying over how great Relapse is.
So what else about Recovery? Alex the Kid.
It has undeniably his biggest singles ever on pretty much any of his records, even his previous ones.
Y'all gotta hold me back. Otherwise, we're gonna spend 3 hours dissecting every lyric to Love the Way You Lie, the worst written song. Probably
we'll get
to that. Cinderella Man. I think that's a nice I like the production in that one. I like the kind of are they sampling We Will Rock You for the backbeat?
Pretty sure. They might be, but I mean I'm not seeing anything according to Wikipedia, but here's my thing with M going forward in the 2010s. His production, arguably, you can't even debate this even if you're a fan of the guy. The production really goes downhill on all of these records because there's no one or two voices he's working with. It's a mishmash of anybody and no Dr. Dre.
I want to really talk about the production on this album because it took me about 3 tries to get all the way through Music to Be Murdered By, and I would still say that's a better album than this because the production on this is ear splitting. Almost every song except for, I would say, Won't Back Down, decent parts, decent chunk of Not Afraid, and Love the Way You Lie, have the tinniest, most awful drum beats, almost like hi-hat like beats, loudly underscoring everything that's being rapped. And it feels like the beat is physically attacking you. It is painful to the ear. Like, this album gave me kind of a migraine by the end of it. I was like, oh my God, I will do anything for a beat to be like a bass or maybe a piano, maybe a different kind of synth sound. I will do anything for a beat that does not sound like someone pummeling a drum kit. It's awful on this particular album. Like, I'm not going to deny the production value goes down on a lot of the albums beyond this, but none of them are quite as assaultive as this album. So it's like, that's like, I'm looking at the names of these songs and I'm trying to remember anything about them, but my overwhelming takeaway from most of this album was, holy shit, this was like, I got in a fight with the music and maybe I won. I don't know. I'm here.
The one track that actually like works with that sort of production is Won't Back Down, because it has more of a rocking, upbeat kind of energy to it.
It's probably not live drums, but I mean, it sounds like a live snare being hit in some way.
Yeah, and it's not shrill the way some of the other ones are. Like, it seems like it was mixed more competently. Like, you got Pink's voice in there nicely. There's other instruments going on. There's a rock feel to it. Some of these, it's like somebody pressed play on the most irritating Yamaha setting they could find. And that works for like 100 gecs, but like...
but not here.
So, not here. This is not what I'm listening to Eminem for.
I've got things I'm going to say about Recovery beyond just the production, because I don't feel like this is the worst kept secret so far of this episode. I'm not a big fan of Recovery. I'm really not. My thing with the production is that it sounds like it was done to be a 2010s pop album, which this is basically what it is, an Eminem album, but with like 2010 pop producers on it. I mean, I do like Just Blaze's sample of God, I'm blanking on the sample, but it gets roasted all the time. What Is Love by Hadaway. Yeah, the sample on that's cool. M's verse is fantastic. It's great. It shows, yeah, I'm back. I'm motivated. Let me just tear your head off with as much lyrics as I can. But fucking Lil Wayne.
Was this in Lil Wayne's like I'm gonna be a rock star period? Because this kind of has the same energy as his feature on that Fall Out Boy album.
Yeah,
and
it
works on that one
time period.
Yeah, it works on that one because Patrick Stump can actually produce. I have no idea who produced this song, but like, God, they need to be taken out back and give it a stern talking to.
It was Just Blaze, Jay-Z's producer.
Quick aside.
This might have worked for Jay-Z, I guess.
Quick aside. I do not like Lil Wayne's attempt at a rock album, but M's verse on Drop the World is amazing.
Yeah, just it belongs in a better song.
It's been a long time since I listened to that Lil Wayne album. I remember thinking it was odd, but not bad.
I haven't, and I refuse to, and I'm happy I've refused to. My big thing with Recovery is, okay, if he doesn't like Relapse, he's entitled to not like it, but here's my issue. A lot of people like me really do. So when you spend at least like 3 or 4 tracks just trashing Relapse, going, oh, my last 2 albums didn't count, and Relapse was in, perhaps I ran the accents into the ground, and you're going like, my last album fucking sucked, and I'm going to come up with the most complex lyric, and I'm just like, dude, make music instead of complaining about how people didn't like your last record, which we will get to eventually again. But
it also comes off as really inauthentic on this album particularly, because this album really comes off like, oh, you didn't like me bearing my soul? Okay, I'm gonna get fucking Rihanna. I'm gonna get all Jay-Z's producers. I'm gonna make sure that you love me. And it's like, it's not really what I ever wanted from Eminem.
Which then we get to arguably the biggest single of his career in the 2010s.
Love the Way You Lie.
That's why they call it window pane. Where are you going? I'm leaving you. No, you ain't. Oh my God, I hate this fucking song. I hate it so much, and I know so much of it for some inexplicable reason because it was everywhere.
It is overplayed to death. It's not overplayed in the way Lose Yourself is, to where it's like, okay, it's getting played to death because it's a really good song. No, it's because you got Alex the Kid and and here's the thing. This is actually technically not a Rihanna song, because we got to talk about somebody later on who shows up on every other record.
Oh,
Actually kind of like her.
wait.
I'm going somewhere with this.
Was this supposed to be Skylar Grey?
Skylar Grey
this.
wrote this.
Oh,
She wrote the demo to this song for M, gave it to M, and then got Rihanna on it.
And then didn't Rihanna like make a sequel to the song for one of her own albums?
Yes.
I'm glad Skylar's getting all that royalty money, I guess.
Sure.
If I have to look at this some way.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. It just feels like something he would have been. All of the love songs on this for me really feel like something he would have been making fun of Ja Rule for doing in 2003 when the 50 versus Ja Rule beef was happening.
This song has such awful lyrics, I swear to God. Like,
yeah.
we've talked about the misogyny and the pain in a lot of the early stuff, but at least it felt real. This feels like someone
kind of plastic.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about everything on this, but it feels inauthentic to the degree that it feels like somebody like trawled on someone's live journal account, like a 15-year-old having their first heartbreak or whatever. And then Eminem was like, oh, it's got to be more violent though. And I'm like, this is just so stupid. Like everyone talks about the thrower through the window. That's why they call him window pane line, which is excruciating. That's a top 10 worst lyric maybe of all time. But they kind of gloss over that one of the lyrics right before that is that you can't, something along the lines of, you can't reset, life is no Nintendo game. And it's just like, even in 2010, that was being used as a joke in anime in like 2002. Like, bro, what are you doing?
Honestly, big hot take, because I know we kind of have to mention stuff with Dr. Dre at this point, just because like he's so involved with the career of M. I think the reaction to Relapse broke both M and Dr. Dre, because really Dr. Dre's not he's not doing as much production as he really used to when you think about it. It's either he's working with like 5 other people or he's having somebody else produce his own beat. That's why I Need a Doctor exists. It's just because Love the Way You Lie was such a big hit. Alex the Kid produces a beat for Dr. Dre, and then M gets on it, basically saying, Dre, get out of the studio and quit working out, go finish your fucking album.
One thing I will give Love the Way You Lie is that it doesn't sound like the rest of this album, which it sounds like, a 2010s pop song, but at least it doesn't sound like a 2010s pop song that's trying to slam my head into a kitchen sink. Like there's not crazy drum loops on this or anything. It actually sounds like beats and music. So I'll give it that. The rest of it sucks, but I will give it that it is a nice respite in the middle of the album because it's not straight up trying to assault you with bad production.
Which thankfully and Haley, this is where you get our permission to dip out, go to the bathroom, drink some water, because actually before you do that, everyone's favorite songs. I'll go last.
I'll go first. Won't Back Down, Cinderella Man, So Bad, and On Fire is actually kind of fun. I would have liked to see that on whatever Relapse 2 would have been.
Yeah, Won't Back Down is the obvious best one, but I actually don't mind Not Afraid. I think it's got a really nice anthemic chorus, and it's one of the few that M's kind of not great singing voice works well with. And I think, like, as kind of weak as the verses are, that chorus has a hook to it that a lot of this album lacks.
My favorite songs, I'm going to exclude So Bad and On Fire and even the bonus track Riotas because those are Relapse 2 songs. In my universe, they're Relapse 2 songs. They don't belong here. I'm focusing purely on the recovery tracks. Yeah, I'll vouch for Won't Back Down. One we really didn't get to talk about, even if it's a more optimistic version of Deja Vu. I can't turn down a Black Sabbath sample. I love Going Through Changes. It's
I
a
forgot.
good
That's a good one too.
it's a
Say the
good
sample's solid on that.
it's a good continuation of Deja Vu. Is it more optimistic than that song is? Yeah. Do I prefer how dreary Deja Vu is? Yeah. I can't turn down a Sabbath sample, man. Volume 4 is my favorite Black Sabbath record. If you got Lil Wayne off of No Love, that song is amazing. And You're Never Over is, I don't think he should have done a tribute to Proof, even with Difficult being one of the leaked songs from the King Mathers period. I think the one line about him only taking drugs because Proof died, that just hits you in the gut enough. But You're Never Over, yeah, it's one of the best tracks here, if we're going to be honest. All right, so with that said, Haley, bathroom time, and go get
I
some
spent
water.
so much time trying to figure out how to listen to songs to be murdered by that I forgot to listen to this.
Yeah, because we gotta give people a bit of a refresher. So if you all remember, there is a song on the Slim Shady LP that is one of our favorites called Bad Meets Evil. And that is a group, actually, that him and Royce da 5'9" have. So basically, him and M had a bit of, I'm not going to get too into it because there's a bunch of bullshit and shenanigans and we'll be here all hour as is. But no, basically, when M was getting sober and Royce da 5'9" was just getting his career back up and going, they made up and reunited Bad Meets Evil. And now remember how at the end of that song they said, "We'll see you in hell for the sequel." Well, we get an EP called Hell the Sequel. Honestly, I prefer this way more than I do Recovery.
Oh yeah, no, this is easily
Flaws and all.
Yeah, well, the only real flaw on the record for me, other than the fact that it's too short, I would have preferred this being a full LP, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. The only real flaw is Lighters, which sticks out like a sore thumb compared
Lighters
to
needs to go. No.
Yeah, Lighters is it's a recovery track featuring Royce da 5'9".
I will say this. Just go watch Todd in the Shadows video. I'm not in the mood to get a headache over this. Can we talk about how great that intro is and how it goes?
I love the intro.
And then it perfectly goes right into Fastlane and the reunion.
What a great way to start the record.
Yeah, I do feel like this album, well, EP, album, whichever, I do feel it is very front loaded, but at least has that energy that he wanted to go for on Recovery. I just feel like it's done better here.
I think what I like about this, certainly more than Recovery, but also more than the rest of his discography, is Mr. Porter gets more time as a producer.
Oh yeah, because the thing people got to realize is that Mr. Porter did a lot of production even on Devil's Night, and he actually it's not Dr. Dre who produced PIMP, it's Mr. Porter who produced that beat. So throwing that out.
No wonder that song is so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mr. Porter, he is kind of underrated as a producer, but it sounds like he does a lot. It sounds like he does want to do more things with like underground artists. That's why he's on that first Slaughterhouse album, which as corny as M's verse is on Loud Noises, how great is Slaughterhouse on this track?
Slaughterhouse. I don't really love their two records, but Slaughterhouse on this track is pretty great. Now I have to ask, since I know Royce to 5'9" is a member of that. Is this isn't the first time that that people have like been introduced to Slaughterhouse, is it?
So here's what I remember. So Slaughterhouse got started in like late 2008. I think they did an appearance on Joe Budden's album, if I'm not mistaken, and that's how they got the idea of doing a group with each other, of just, you know, four lyricists just going crazy. The first time like the mainstream really got to pay attention to what Slaughterhouse was, because M was basically relaunching Shady Records at this point, and instead of just him and 50, it's him, Slaughterhouse, and Yellow Wolf and D12, but we'll talk about them a little bit more later on. But no, Slaughterhouse basically becomes the rap group on Shady Records at that point, and they even make a cameo. As much as I don't like Forever, I like M's verse. I'll tell one funny story. I was just working a crappy job fairly recently, but like this was one of like the good memories I have from working there. I went into the back and receiving, and somebody had Forever playing, and I was like, oh, when's M's verse gonna come on? Oh, I gotta sit through Lil Wayne. Okay. And then a couple seconds later, I'm like, wait for it. If it's M, I'll do it. And then I just do the Forever verse that he does.
Nice.
And I get it verbatim. And everybody's like, how the fuck is he doing this? I mean, you know, that's cool. But no, that the Forever video is the first time people really saw Slaughterhouse with M.
Oh, okay.
Favorite tracks then. I'll go last again.
All right. This is gonna be pretty easy. Fastlane. Weirdly enough, I'm on Everything is kind of fun. Mike Epps gets a featuring credit, but it's really just a sample of one of his comedy specials. It's a weird track, and one that I don't think we get often. I don't know. I had fun with it, and yeah, loud noises is Loud Noise is a good one as well.
I'm just gonna go with the first. I'll count Welcome to Hell as a track, because that really does get you excited to listen to the rest of the record. Really, the first 5 tracks are probably my favorite. And Living, I think you should gut Lighters and put Living Proof on the record.
I'd be okay with that.
Which it isn't, because somebody leaked it to the internet like a year early. So I really feel like now we get to talk about the big one that, depending on your perspective, should it have happened? It's ultimately in the eye of the beholder. The Marshall Mathers LP2.
I'm back.
Perfect timing.
Yes. So just that title, I'll just get everybody's impression on that title alone.
Haley, why don't you go first?
As I say, I remember when they announced this and I was like, damn, that's ballsy. Mainly because just in general, anytime someone decides to make a sequel to one of the best known things ever, it does not seem to go well. So I was like, we'll see if he's able to pull this one off. And also, you know, it being almost 15 years later, with obviously changing social attitudes and all of the endless discussion and critique of Eminem's kind of whole persona and personality, and coming off of an album where he spent way too much time critiquing other people critiquing him, is like, well, we'll see how this goes. I remember distinctly thinking that. I wrote a review of this album that did get published, but that was definitely something that I was thinking at the time.
Mike, how do you feel about the title?
It did get me a little bit nervous because at the time I was still really enjoying like the first Marshall Mathers LP, and it being like this long since the last one, I was worried, like, does this feel like a step backwards? And they announced the title around the same time they announced the lead single Berserk, which we'll kind of get to how that fits into the record as a whole. But there was a real disconnect between listening to Berserk and then finding out, oh, the title of this is the Marshall Mathers LP2.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we've got to address the big beard in the room, and I don't mean mine because mine isn't gray. This is where Rick Rubin enters the picture. So before we really get into the Rick Rubin tracks, I feel, should I spoil the opening track for people who haven't heard it yet?
It's been almost 15 years. I think you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, fuck it. So we start off the song where it sounds like, yeah, it's the typical M's thinking about killing somebody. Okay, cool, we get it. Halfway through, we get the big reveal. Stan's brother comes back and kidnaps Eminem, puts him in a trunk, and it just goes off the rails in the last like 3 minutes of this song. And oh my God, it is such a unbelievable reflection of him as an artist, him as just this personality, and just him and what he gets critiqued for. Like, I know Haley brings this up a lot, and I defended use of certain language on the original MMLP as part of a character, but I'm going to also acknowledge Haley's perspective, because I'm like, yeah, that language, it is not cool to be using that. And he even full on addresses it, going like, I became the bullies you hate, the blank you slaughtered on every track, something to that effect. Like, he just goes all in to go like, okay, yeah, I'm actually following up the original MMLP. I'm not just trying to rest on my laurels. Let's fucking go.
I remember listening to this album for the first time and literally having to stop after this track and just being like, I need to take this in a little bit because that was just a lot.
Oh yeah, it's one of those opening tracks where it's like you're tempted to replay it again.
Yeah, this is one hell of a way to open a record.
Which
something I noticed on the Wikipedia article, there like on the producer credits, it's actually split in half. There's a part 1 produced by S1 and M Phases, and part 2 by Street Runner and Vincent Venditto.
I'm going to actually throw this out there. Did you know they actually tried to get Dido back for Bad Guy?
Oh, really?
Yeah, M was so committed to this that he actually wanted to get Dido back for Bad Guy, but because scheduling's a bitch sometimes, yeah, she's not on it, unfortunately. But I mean, how much cooler would that? There's the thing I'm going to say about MMLP 2 for sure. He's not just resting on his laurels, but at the same time, you do have to have heard the first MMLP to get a lot of the in jokes and the references on specific, like the parking lot skit literally picks up where Criminal leaves off with him robbing the bank and then shooting the private eye, shooting the dog. And then it really turned out he just got left there by, it's not Dr. Dre, actually. It's, I forget who it is at the end of Criminal, but just making a big correction for everybody who says it's Dre who's taking him to rob this bank. It's not.
I honestly though, because I read that too, that Dido was supposed to be on this. I feel like it might have diminished the impact of the twist if Dido comes in and you already get kind of thinking, huh, that's Dido. You only worked with her once. I think if they had
Yeah.
placed her in it well, if they had placed her in it after the twist, I feel like that could have made it like super even more transcendent. But I love the way it works, the way it's written, because it's got a weird, like the weird undercurrent of the Ode to Billy Joe sample going through it. It lulls you into this weird sense of security where you're just like, yeah, Marshall Mathers LP too. He's coasting, he's spinning his wheels, who knows? And then it really slams into you. And I think maybe it's because I think Bad Guy is probably the best track on this album, and it because it's just masterful the way it smashes you in the head with the twist of it. It really is.
I'll
The
get
twist
to
is
my favorite in a
the
minute.
twist is some of the best storytelling that M has done in a single track.
Yeah, and I mean, I said initially, like one of my I think my favorite Eminem track, period, is Stan. So it tracks that this is my favorite on the album.
Well, the other thing too, and I really feel like we should also talk about how a lot of this record, I feel, sans 2 songs, he really comes close to having it be as good as the original MMLP. Like, I like Rhyme or Reason. The sample's bouncy enough. It's M going nuts on a Rick Rubin beat. Big hot take. So much better is if Puke did not suck. I feel that's fair.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally him about how it's not about Kim, but let's be honest, it probably is about Kim. But I mean, literally, this actually sounds funny and whippy and intelligently written, whereas Puke is wow I
ugh.
Can I ask a question right now? Because this is a question I had like in my head the entire time I was listening to like the back half of all of these, and I Googled and I couldn't really find anything. Has he been with anybody since? Like notably? Or are these all still about fucking Kim?
It could be about Kim. It could be about somebody else he's dating. But I mean, I have no clue.
It's not like he's shown up to a red carpet and people were like, "Oh shit, he's dating blank."
He seems like a pretty private dude. I mean, for all we know, he's probably sticking it to Skylar. But Skylar Gray's married, though.
She's been married for a long time. Yeah, I don't think.
Then again, who knows what arrangement they have. Big hot take.
I like her. Stop it.
Big hot take, though. I actually really like Survival. It wouldn't sound too out of place on the Eminem show if, like, we're being completely honest with the rock backbeat, the energy. I actually really like this song. You can riff on it for being in a trailer for a Call of Duty game all you like, but I think this is I do like Won't Back Down, but I think this is a better done version of it.
Huh. Yeah, you know what? I think that's fair. I'll admit I don't really remember Survival all that well. But I do like when Eminem leans into more of like that rock production, which is why it's kind of cool to have Rick Rubin involved on this record.
Which we could talk. I think Berserk is a fine enough lead single to lead off the album with, because it does have, the album as a whole does have a lot more of a rock backbeat to it when you get into it. I also, another really good song, I when I went back to listen to it, I actually really like the song Legacy.
Yeah, that was really solid. A lot of this album is really solid.
We gotta talk about the Samalamaduma in the Room, though. Arguably the big hit on this album.
Headlights.
No, that's why I said Samalamaduma, assuming I'm a superhuman. What can I do to get it through to you? I'm superhuman.
That's Rap God, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can
I have-
partially do it, but I can't like nail one of those challenges everybody does on the fucking internet about it. We might as well talk about Rap God now, because I mean, somebody would get on our case if we didn't.
I want to say my initial Rap God thought before we get into where we're going to talk about how Eminem has re-envisioned himself as the Lightning McQueen of rap with his speed. I'm speed. It's like, great, we get it. You're like Suga. You're resting on this crutch. Deal with it. Some BTS fans are going to crucify me for saying that, but it's true. This is where, like, I know I talked about my central problem where it's like, I know Eminem is an intelligent man and he keeps resting on these crutches of like saying the F word and stuff for no discernible reason. In this track, it particularly bothers me because he name drops Loki, the very famously bisexual Norse god. And this would have been before the Marvel kind of neutering of him in the public eye, where it's just like, dude, what are you doing? It's like, I know you're smarter than this now. Like, and you addressed it in other tracks on this album. Like, Jesus Christ, what?
My thing with Rap God is it has good and bad. When I say it has good and bad aspects of it, as a song, I actually really like Rap God. It's
Same.
well done. The way
Production wise, yeah.
And that end just even acknowledges just some of the critiques where it's like, oh, I'm not as good as I used to be. I'm too poppy now. Have a look at this. And then he does the really fast part. Like, he actually makes it have something. He actually has the fast part be something that matters, where it's an event that you're building up to, rather than just, this is the track of me going really fast. Have at it.
I do agree with that.
We can all agree Stronger Than I Was fucking sucks.
I do not like this track.
This you couldn't have replaced it with something else, really.
Or just cut it.
Yeah.
Like, this album, it's like, it's not a super long album, but it's pushing it. Just cut
It's
it.
an hour and 18 minutes. It can be cut.
It can be cut, yeah.
Can we talk about the only time he's ever worked with Kendrick?
Yeah.
Kendrick owns him too, which is kind of sad. I'm a huge Kendrick fan, though.
I think they both rival each other so well and just make you go, God, I wish either Kendrick I know from what little I know of Kendrick, but I have liked what I heard of his music so far, at least, which is limited to 2 or 3 tracks, unfortunately. But I really feel like if this is a lot of people's entryway into discovering Kendrick Lamar,
it's a damn good entryway.
And it's a damn good Rick Rubin.
Extremely good.
And it's a damn good Rick Rubin beat.
Yeah, the song is really good. I think there's a part of me, I think, that thinks that Kendrick killed on this one, probably because I think Kendrick is my favorite modern rapper unequivocally ever. Like, I have a hard time thinking of somebody that I think, maybe RM, but like in the English sphere, like, I just adore Kendrick so much. So I'm a little biased. And I was just very excited pulling this up, and I was like, Kendrick. And then it immediately shoots us into this fucking awful feature with Nate Ruess, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
Beyond me finding fun very turgid and dull, we gotta talk about, I think my feelings about this album is that it starts really strong, and you kind of pick and choose your favorite tracks in the middle. I just say gut the monster, even though you need another hit with Rihanna on it, and gut Stronger Than I Was. But this album ends strong, considering Headlights, which don't care for fun. But
I have thoughts on Headlights. Yeah, the Nate Ruess chorus is
turgid and dull.
It kind of doesn't really fit the rest of the lyrics. But at the same time, I also I also don't know like what to replace him with. That's kind of the problem with this song. Like the verses are amazing, and this is probably one of one of the first times that Eminem is pretty much had to completely walk back one of his biggest and still I think best tracks from the Eminem show.
Yeah, which I kind of touched on in the last episode where I said I was defending it because I really feel like because this song exists, people try to brush Cleaning Out My Closet under the rug. But I kind of am one of those people who are like, yeah, you do have those moments where, God, I hate my mom and she gets under my skin and does all of this. But then you also have those moments where, you know what, maybe I did take things too far and I shouldn't have gone in on you as tough as you are because you're my mom. I'm supposed to care about you, your family, and as as shitty as things that Debbie Mathers did to M and his stepbrother, he gives a good excuse for like, you know what? I shouldn't have said half of the things I did, and it was wrong and went too far in some places and made certain things public that shouldn't have. I was in the wrong.
Is she still alive?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's his biological dad that's dead, which we'll get to on Music to Be Murdered By.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, it's fair to say abuse is complicated. Like this is 15 years on, 10 years on from the Eminem show. I don't know how much therapy M has gotten. I would assume some. So
Probably
it's natural that, I was gonna say, so it's natural that the thoughts progress from when you're angry on drugs and lashing out at anybody who hurt you, and his life was terrible. Like it's not to excuse his worst things or the fact that he probably shouldn't have been airing so much of this laundry, but like it's the place he's coming from is understandable, and the fact that he would want to walk it back is understandable, at least the way I look at it.
Oh no,
I just really wish there was somebody else singing this hook.
I gotta jump in and make a point, and God, I have to go back and defend Relapse again. But I mean, that's kind of why with I don't really consider My Mom to be much of a diss track. Even it just sounds more like an exaggerated storytelling about how much she's feeding him pills, which apparently was happening according to Cleaning Out My Closet. But I mean, yeah, I'm one of those types that just goes, I think both can exist in their own right, and one doesn't outweigh the other. Fun apparently is broken up, so good.
We got Jack Antonoff out of it, which I don't particularly enjoy his production on a lot of things, but we got Bleachers out of it, so
But can we talk about the other best? Because I think this is the perfect closing track, and then we'll let Mike go off about the bonus tracks.
Oh gosh.
Evil Twin is the perfect way to close. If this album does anything perfectly, it has the best opening track and best closing track in Evil Twin, because this really is. This is the last time Slim Shady actually showed. None of the next bunches of albums we talk about really have Slim Shady come back the way he does on this song, because it really feels like he's kind of accepting that I'm not going to hide behind the persona of an angry rapper in a hockey mask running around killing people. I'm responsible for what I inspired, and you know what? Yeah, I am offensive. This is who I am. You can either love me or hate me, but this is what I'm here to do. And hot take, if he were to end his career right here on this track, I think we could be pretty mostly happy sans encore with his records.
Yeah, Evil Twin would have made like a great swan song in that regard. Too bad he kind of ruins it with the next couple records.
Oh, we'll get to the next record, but we got other things. Mike, go off on the bonus tracks because, yeah, you actually listened to those, and you got a skit from somebody we hate, and it's not bizarre.
Look, I made the biggest mistake with this record specifically to continue listening to the bonus tracks. Normally, I just do that because I'm kind of a completionist, but in this case, one of the tracks was "Beautiful Pain" by featuring Sia, who I cannot condone supporting Sia post music.
She's got some issues.
I wouldn't condone supporting her, period, because that Chandelier song played at my very first job every half hour, and I wanted to jump off the escalator every time it came on.
Oh God, I am so sorry.
Oh,
And then,
dude.
I
want to swing from the chimney. From the chimney.
I was gonna say, in moderation, that song is a really incredible track about being in the throes of alcohol addiction. If I had to hear it every half hour, I'm pretty sure I would do the same thing. I'd be like, "Where's the nearest escalator? Where are we going?"
But the reason I'm so disappointed in the bonus tracks is because I forgot that they were bonus tracks and that they weren't just part of the album, but Wicked Ways ends the same way Underground did on Relapse, which is actually one of my favorite closing tracks. But I also
Underground's fantastic.
But I hate the very end of it because it ends on Ken Kniff.
Oh my God.
Why does he keep her? Does he just want to do anybody remember the Slim Shady show? Does he just want to do a second season of that secretly?
I don't know, but I really do not like Ken Kniff at all.
Oh, no wonder Lil Wayne loves him.
Oh,
Lil Wayne. Okay. Literally on a podcast last year that Lil Wayne was doing with M, he was like, "When are you going to bring back Ken Kniff?" Said no one. What's wrong
with Lil Wayne?
What is right about Lil Wayne is the real question.
Someone go help Lil Wayne. He seems like he needs some help. Oh,
let's get through our favorite tracks before we rant about how bad Ken Kniff and Lil Wayne are.
I was gonna say, I just want to say something really quick. I didn't listen to the bonus tracks, but whatever version of this album I listened to did have the Ken Kniff track at the end. Because I remember being like, Jesus Christ, this guy's back.
That's weird because you guys were all like, Ken Kniff is back, and I'm like, where? Evil Twin just ends with him poetically going, "Because we are the same bitch." And I'm like, perfect way to end the record. No bonus tracks. I'm happy.
I feel like maybe the version I had, maybe I did listen to the full version and just didn't realize it, because I remember the X Ambassadors feature and being like, oh God, it's those guys that use paint cans as backing beats. So maybe I did listen to it, and just everything else kind of blended together. Maybe
we'll get to X Ambassadors on the next record, but let's get through the best songs and then talk about some stuff that doesn't suck.
Best tracks, obviously, Bad Guy.
Yes.
Was Bad Guy, Love Game, just the verses on Headlights. And you know what? I like Berserk. I like, even if it was just like a standalone sequel, it still would have been like a good rap rock song.
My favorites, I'm gonna stick away from the obvious being Bad Guy. We already went off on how good that song is, but Survival, Legacy, Love Game, and Evil Twin.
Gonna say mine have a blend of a lot of these. You know, Bad Guy. I like the parking lot skit. I always mention the skits I find fun. You know, Love Game, obviously Evil Twin. I like, as an exercise in form, I appreciate Rap God. I actually I know we're probably going to talk more about Skylar Grey later. I actually really like Skylar Grey. I think she's great. I don't mind when she shows up, and I like
Skylar Grey too.
I don't hate her, but some of her hooks just do not belong on an M record. I don't know. I guess you could say I prefer Dina Ray.
And that's fair. I think I like Asshole. I think she really adds something to Asshole. I really liked her in this period too, because I think this is around the same time she had M featuring on Come On Let Me Ride Your Bicycle, which is a stupid fucking song. But I adore that stupid fucking song. Like, as I was listening to this stuff, I was like, man, I should listen to that again. And that's been on my like heavy rotation again. It's just, it's a really dumb, stupid song.
At least it's not Just Lose It.
No, Just Lose It has also kind of been in my heavy rotation, even though I clearly, when I don't want to like focus on my music, I just want stupid stuff going through, right? But I like Asshole. I like the way she enunciates Asshole, the way she really puts her like whole body into it, I think is really fun. But yeah, otherwise everyone kind of, but Love Game, yeah, you know, Kendrick.
So next is I really feel like we can just kind of combine the next two together, just because on one hand, you know what, I'm fuck it, I'm just gonna cut to the chase. So the next year we get another Shady Records compilation, except this really just is MMLP part 2.5 when you really think about it. We get Shady 15 in late 2014, which is basically, I really feel like we can just gloss over the songs we already just talked about on disc 2 and just focus on the original songs. So
yeah, that's the thing. Unlike the re-up, it seems like this is, I'm only gonna guess that Shady 15 is supposed to represent like the 15 years that Shady Records has been a thing.
Record label. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and we're just going to combine it with Southpaw just because it's only 2 songs, and I don't feel like we talked in greater detail about 8 Mile because 8 Mile is important to his career. And yeah, they did try to have Southpaw be a sequel to 8 Mile from the little research I've done on it. But yeah, let's just combine the 2 songs from Southpaw and Shady 15, and then just, yeah, take it from there, I guess. Big hot take. My favorite song on this is actually the Slaughterhouse song.
Y'all already know.
Yeah, that DJ Premier should have been exclusively producing the beats for Slaughterhouse's Shady Records album. I mean, they could have afforded him. So and just it's a perfect showcase of how good of, I don't want this to just transition into a Slaughterhouse episode, maybe if we talk about Royce da 5'9", but no, that's probably my favorite. The Eminem songs I find are just, nothing stands out as particularly amazing, but I think it's better than the re-up, but it doesn't have a song as good as No Apologies.
I was actually really into all the Yellow Wolf stuff. Need to look up this guy later. Like I was like I thought he was the highlight of Psychopath Killer. I was really into Down, and I was really into Twisted because, you know, Skylar Grey, but also I really like his verse on Twisted, Yellow Wolves. It was also very weird hearing Big Sean on an Eminem track. I was just like, whoa.
It's because of Detroit affiliation. Detroit affiliation, man.
Right. I think it's because on Spotify, when the way mine is set up on my work computer, when there's a bunch of featured artists, you don't see everybody. And I'm not looking at that when I'm listening while I'm doing work. And I just heard his like delivery. I was like, whoa, okay, we're going there. All right.
Go
that
ahead,
being
Mike.
said, Detroit versus everybody is kind of just okay.
Yeah, I said this in the group chat, but it's pretty obvious that Shady 15 is like with a trade-off of the re-up has no apologies. Every single track on disc 1 of Shady 15 makes up for the re-up, in my opinion.
Yeah, because we didn't really touch on how there's a lot of tracks on the re-up that just suck.
And are basically just kind of filler.
Either that or they're just remixes of already bad M feature songs that weren't that good to begin with.
Yeah, at least for this one, Eminem is pretty much like he's on all but like, I don't know, 3 tracks.
Yeah, it really is just MMLP 0.25 when you get into it. I mean, except Guts Over Fear sucks. Nobody can convince me that's a good song. I hated it when it came. That got played with the Chandelier song.
Ooh.
And then that got played back to back. And then I was like, God, I do not want to have to hear more of this. And then at least they have the decency to sometimes play Lose Yourself afterwards. Made me want to vomit a little less.
I can't defend Guts Over Fear at all, but honestly, my biggest takeaway from this, I don't really listen to Yellow Wolf all that much, but I actually don't know why I'm not a fan of Yellow Wolf, because a lot of his songs on this record are great. I think it is just like, at the time he was just one of many like up and coming rappers that I just wasn't giving enough attention to.
Well, that and it just kind of seemed like he was just going to be the redneck protege of Eminem at that point.
And since then he's been off Shady Records for like a couple years now, right?
Which we'll get to when we talk about Kamikaze, because feuds, but I'm saving my feelings. So I already said my favorite. Do you guys have any? We didn't really talk about the Southpaw songs, but let's be honest, they're not great.
Phenomenal is like a good end credits song, and that's really all I have to say about Southpaw.
Yeah, that's about it. It had some nice instrumental music that I accidentally found while listening to this. Got a decent score.
I liked the movie when I saw it, and James Horner's score is fantastic. But for the purposes of this podcast, there's not much else we need to talk about.
Yes, so, please go listen to James Horner's score. James Horner is a legend.
Yes, definitely. But now we have to get into touchy territory, because a Canadian's about to comment on your guys' most recent, not most recent, your last president.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to talk about Revival. This is a contentious one purely because M is pretty clearly going in at Donald Trump. So here's and again, this is purely just the Canadians' perspective. Fuck Donald Trump, first of all. Second of all, fuck the Proud Boys. Fuck Trump again. And yeah, that's all I gotta say.
You won't find much disagreement here.
Nope.
Good, because I really feel, because this was just kind of my perception. I was still not really paying attention. I just knew Eminem is taking shots at Donald Trump, and I was like, ooh, I might check out this next record if it's any good. Track listing, pop artists. Let's wait for reviews to come. The review. God, no. So I was honestly under the impression that this album was largely getting hated because a lot of people were thinking, M's this right winger and now he's taking shots at like, no, fuck off. He was doing songs like Square Dance, We As Americans, Mosh, yes. Like,
we made you honestly to a degree.
Yeah, because he was taking shots at Sarah Palin. So I mean, like, it's pretty clear M was no fan of the right. So hating this album, if you hate this album because M hates Trump, you're a fucking moron. I'm just gonna be blunt. You're a fucking moron if you hate this album because Eminem hates Donald Trump. You should hate this album because it's pretty fucking bad.
I honestly don't mind this one a whole lot. It's not great, but
it has defenders, and here's the thing. People who say this is worse than I'm gonna say it again. If you think this is worse than Encore,
No, not
no.
not even a little bit.
Like, for all of the problems I have with Revival, for all of the things we're about to get into, at least Revival has good ideas.
My problem, I think my problem with this album is
production.
Production, sure, certainly. That, and it really kind of feels like this feels like Eminem is like kind of leaving his past behind and like only collaborating with, like, aside from Skylar Grey, mostly pop artists. Like there are no features from like other Shady Records artists, or we've talked before about Dr.
Or
Dre,
Aftermath.
Like there are no Aftermath or Shady Records collaborations. Dr. Dre is like gone except for
skit, which is
skit.
Can you even call it a skit?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. This is where we got to actually start talking about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I like that this album feels cohesive. Like it does, like, not cohesive in the way Relapse does, where it's all where it's narratively all tied together. I mean, auditorially cohesive. I actually don't mind the production. I think the production is one of the stronger suits of this album. It's polished, it sounds nice, it's not attacking me, it's not all samey. But there's not a whole lot here. You know, it's just kind of exists. This album exists.
You know what? That's the I can't really argue that. My thing is just this. It honestly, I was going into this long before when we were preparing. I was really holding off on listening to this. So here's just kind of my general feelings about it. It made me appreciate even with the worst songs on Recovery, it made me at least appreciate Recovery a little bit more. This is a worse version of Recovery for me. I'm just not a fan of this at all. River made me want to throw up to the point where, like, the last 30 seconds, I was like, no, Ed Sheeran does not belong on a fucking Eminem record. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Remind me, as bad as it is, it doesn't have as bad of lyrics as Ass Like That or Big Weenie. Nobody can convince me otherwise.
I'm with you there.
Like Home is purely a pop song. Bad Husband made me want to throw up again.
Don't ever put Ex Ambassadors on a record and expect to be taken seriously. Just don't.
I really just truly don't understand how they became popular. I remember their big song being that Unsteady song, and literally the backbeat is someone shaking an aerosol paint can, and it's like a knife to the middle of your forehead. It's awful. So I'm just like, why are these people still showing up on things?
My thing is that it's the Apology to Kim song, and we deserved a way better Apology to Kim song.
Oh, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not against the lyrics on it, but it does feel like he does walk some stuff back and try to, quote, evenly distribute the blame, but it's that hook. That hook made I can't do it. And I'm not sorry, Haley. I have to go in on Skylar Grey on this one, but Tragic Endings is literally just a bad
No.
recovery left over.
Yeah, that's not a good song. It's not a good song.
Like the Rick Rubin tracks are just not as, the thing about MMLP2 is that the Rick Rubin tracks were at least energetic and they didn't feel as over reliant on the rock samples. Here, they're just here in full force to the point where it sounds like M is just doing bad karaoke freestyle on every track.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not done well. Like
we haven't really talked about Rick Rubin's how should I put it? His laissez-faire approach to production, which kind of has affected some of like his other artists, like
Slipknot,
Metallica, Black Sabbath.
I wouldn't say System of a Down. I wouldn't say them because at least for whatever reason he actually works closely with them.
It's weird. That's like the only band where he actually works like closely, not just like turns on the mixers and just like goes in the other room.
Yeah, where, and then he just lets Slayer be, well, when they were together, he just lets Slayer be fucking amazing because they're Slayer. But here's the thing that I've got to say about the people who try to argue to me that, well, just from videos I've seen on YouTube arguing that Revival is worse than Encore. At least the good songs stick out like a sore thumb, or the good ideas really do stick out. Like, I think all of us can agree Castle and A Rose are the best tracks here.
Yep.
I was going to say actually my favorite's Untouchable, but I agree on those two other ones.
Untouchable.
I like
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say I like Untouchable to some extent, but my favorite tracks are Castle, A Rose, and the remix to Chloroseptic.
I didn't know there was a remix to Chloroseptic.
We'll get to that with the next record.
Boy.
So, because we'll talk about it in a minute. Castle and A Rose are my favorite, and Castle especially because this is the first time he publicly has acknowledged King Mathers.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, the third verse is literally just entirely him during his drug addict phase and him writing this letter to Haley about how he doesn't want the fame anymore. He'll put out this last album and then he's done. So like just keep that in your head, guys, that Eminem was working on this album we didn't even know about, and it could very well have been the last thing he ever did. Like, how chilling is that?
It's a very scary thought, but that's what makes Castle and a Rose a great pair of songs, because Castle is like the worst case scenario, and then A Rose, he literally turns back the clock and it is like this is like the happy ending, like the happy ending, like the true ending, whereas Castle's like the alternate what
if he gave up drugs earlier. So my thing, I was going to say this about Untouchable and then just kind of transition into the Chloroseptic remix. My thing with Untouchable is this is an example of where I really feel like people sucked at separating the art from the artist in this case, because I personally, I agree with the lyrical content of Untouchable, which is about it. Untouchable is about discrimination. It's about how Black people have been treated in the US. So I like the concept about how he's addressing social issues like that. It's just, I think the Earache My Eye sample is just so poorly implemented into it that it brings it down so much, which is why for me Revival isn't as offensive, because on YouTube you can literally pull up redone versions of this album that just put in purely hip-hop features, cuts out the pop songs, cuts out the Rick Rubin production for the most part, and then literally just makes it an Eminem record finally. But you kind of can't talk about Revival without talking about the reaction to it, because holy shit, everybody hated this thing.
Yep.
It just feels so weird to me. It's fine. Like it's so weird. I was listening to this expecting some just giant explosion of a career, and I'm like, this isn't great, but it's not terrible. I can put it on in the background, which I know people aren't looking for in Eminem, but it's like, when the worst I can say about it is it's good background noise. Like it's not even close to Encore. And I swear to God, it's definitely not as abrasive as Recovery. Recovery's production is without a doubt some of the worst I've ever heard.
Well,
barring Lana Del Rey's first album that sounded like it was recorded underwater through a broken speaker.
Jesus.
So we have to address Chloroseptic now before we talk about the next album, because I feel it really transitions into this.
It's like regardless of how you feel about that track in particular, the remix of Chloroseptic pretty much is like it is like the precursor. It is definitely the precursor to Kamikaze.
Yeah. So, and that end, here's the thing: 2 Chainz actually was supposed to be on the album, but he got cut last minute, which I'm not particularly a 2 Chainz fan, but I did like him on Run the Jewels' newest album that came out last year, and I liked his feature here. So hey, improvement. I'll give credit where it's due.
He
will
might just
100%. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he might just be one of those rappers who just happens to be better as a featured artist than on his own. Sometimes rappers are like that.
Maybe he's trying to pull.
I was gonna say I'll 100% defend 2 Chainz. I think it was his 2015 album. I thought was really great. Just like he's very good at towing the line between absurdity and camp in the lyrics that he presents.
Well, hey, maybe he's trying to pull a Matthew McConaughey. Do all the instead of crappy rom-coms, does a bunch of like pop rap stuff, and then gets to the serious stuff. But no, so we have to mention the Chloroseptic remix, largely because M goes in on the people who didn't. The reaction to Revival was way worse than the reaction from Relapse. So here's where we got to talk about the surprise album, because in less than a year, we get Kamikaze. I have feelings about. I know there's some people who really, really love this album. I know there's some people who really, really hate this album. Guys, how do you feel?
I really liked it when it dropped, partially because I was kind of taken aback by the whole surprise release. Even though at this time he was not the first, nor would he have been the last to pull that kind of stunt. But still, the fact that it was Eminem doing it, and it was basically an entire album taking down critics of Revival, which, by the way, if there's a recurring theme throughout this entire back half of his career, it is that Eminem is kind of unfortunately
he walks back everything. Like he walks back every time he gets critiqued.
He's become very reactionary, and sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't, and even within this album, sometimes that works. Like I think The Ringer is a pretty stellar opening track. And then the stuff that doesn't is Nice Guy, Good Guy. I don't know too much about Jesse Reyes, but even as like even as a noob to her music, it still feels like a waste to put her on two different tracks and then just like give her almost nothing to do.
My thing with Kamikaze, it is so disjointed and unfocused. I like what it's going for, which is this takedown of modern trap rappers just, writing songs about doing whatever drug is popular and stealing your girl and having sex with her in front of you. Like, I get why he wants to tear that down, because that's not the hip hop that he comes from. But you've also got to kind of realize a bit of the irony is that you also signed 50 Cent. I know 50's your guy, and there's a lot of people who are fans of him, and I like Get Rich or Die Trying, but I mean, come on, you kind of got to acknowledge a bit of some holes in your argument there. The Ringer, I really feel like this album's strength is when it goes in on modern hip hop. Instead, then we get songs like Greatest, then we get songs like Normal, a song like Stepping Stone, which should be on a more introspective album, kind of like Revival. Nice Guy Good Guy should be cut, and Venom should just be on the Venom soundtrack. That's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah,
Venom's inclusion on this record is like it's the most random track to have
as a closer.
As a closer, especially. It would be like grafting Lose Yourself onto the Eminem show. Like,
yeah, which just doesn't work.
It kind of feels like how Post Malone's Wow was stapled onto the end of Hollywood's Bleeding. Like, it kind of goes a little better on that one, but it's like you just added this because it was a big single and it didn't have anywhere else to go.
Let's go in. Actually, can we save Not Alike for last, because we are going to talk about something?
Oh, sure.
We'll get to it. We got to kind of acknowledge the giant rock in the room. Stone pun. Stepping Stone
is a good track. It doesn't belong on this record, as you kind of pointed out earlier, but the reason why this song is significant is because
it's not goodbye to our friendship, but D12 is over.
Yep.
Yeah, let's just rip that Band-Aid. Let's rip that Band-Aid off. I mean,
no more bizarre features, thank God.
Oh, you're forgetting the next record. But no, with Stepping Stone, I like what it's going for, but it's my thing with Kamikaze 2 is the production is worse than Revival's. It's way too tinny and thin sounding from an artist who should be putting more money into his, who can afford better producers and people to mix his records. But this just, it's
a lot of this really feels like it was farted out.
It probably was, because it probably needed another draft.
And also someone to tell him to not call Tyler the Creator the F word.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's rip that Band-Aid off next now. I have very mixed feelings about Fall. I haven't listened to any Bon Iver records personally, but I don't like the hook on this. This really isn't an energetic beat that just hones in on how shitty a lot of, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of modern hip hop is, but it's just doing it on the most boring beat you can go with for me. And while I do like a lot of what Fall does lyrically, and I know I just defended using the other F word, I'm not going to say it on here, obviously, on MMLP and the way he was using it on Bad Guy. There's no context here. You were clearly going in on the fact that he is clearly an openly gay man, which I'm just kind of like, that's below you even at this point, man. Like, come on. Especially the way he fucking does it. Like, people hone in on Revival and love this album. Oh, your booty is heavier duty than diarrhea. Oh, listen to this. It's because you worship D12's balls. You're sacrilegious. Let that sink in. You're sacrilegious.
First of all, there's no fucking way that Odd Future was thinking they were going to be the next D12. Like, let's be real here. But it's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating to hear someone who's spent this whole time, it's just how I grew up. I'm sorry, blah, 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 every excuse in the book. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. We don't believe you. And then you pull something like this out where you're clearly like, you have no other recourse for your obvious jealousy or insecurities except to insult the fact that he likes men. Just like, fuck off, man.
Well,
like, and this was right in time. This was right as Igor came out. And I will say Igor is probably more influential and more important to rap than just about anything M has put out this century. So deal with it, bro. You got outdone. You got outdone. And the only thing you can say about being outdone by someone from a new class of rap that you don't respect. Yeah, that you don't respect is to outdo them. And you couldn't do that. You could do that for Machine Gun Kelly, but you couldn't do it for Tyler the Creator. Like, just own it. And it's where the duality comes in, where it's like, I know you're smarter than this. I know you're fucking smarter than this. I know you know what people say about you. It's like, and you fell to them. And that's how a lot of Kamikaze feels to me. It's just like, stop being so obsessed with what people think about you. The only reason you're not Nicki Minaj is because you're not on Twitter fighting people about it. Like, Jesus Christ, bro, figure it out. I don't like Kamikaze very much, clearly.
I'm going to, the only thing I can really add to any of that is just that Tyler the Creator really did take this and he just kind of made how I kind of feel about M in this decade period is Tyler the Creator just kind of seemed to take a lot of this in stride. Like his entire thing was just like, you know what? I'm still a fan of M, but I still don't like a lot of the stuff he does lately. But he seemed to take it in stride and seemed to be the one who kind of came out on top in that. And to M's credit, he in that Sway interview that he did promoting Kamikaze, he did apologize and acknowledge that, yeah, what I was saying, his exact words as I read Wikipedia, in my quest to hurt him, I realized I was hurting a lot of other people, which, yeah, it is walking
before, but
it is him walking the criticism back. But at the same time, it is also him. Even Elton John gave him praise for being like, you know what, dude, you admitted you fucked up. Good on you. I really kind of feel like our three favorite tracks would probably just be The Ringer, Lucky You with Joyner Lucas, and Not Alike with Royce da 5'9".
Yeah. And I will, and I'm going, because I tend to do this, M calls Paul is very, very funny to me as someone who does get hung up on dumb shit like that. Like I spent I don't know how many days ranting about a Pitchfork review where someone called a sample a beat and was acting like it had been a new beat created for this specific album. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a sample and they sampled it particularly. And when you say it's dated, it's the point of that song. What is wrong with you? And the M calls Paul is very, very particular in the kind of person that it's making fun of, which apparently M is one of them. But it was very, very funny to me.
Yeah, and also we got to acknowledge this. This is the first Paul skit we've had since Relapse.
Wow, when you put it like that, it has been a minute.
Yeah. So I wanted to save Not Alike for last because that song is killer. Like, again, the big strength of Kamikaze is when he's purely going in on the current state of hip hop. This is where, and I really didn't want this to get bogged down in rap beefs, because like we could be here talking about all of M's diss tracks as quality as a lot of them are, which will more than likely, Mike, are we probably just going to leave it in like the description of this?
Probably.
Yeah. So this is where we got to talk about, obviously, the biggest. This is the first beef also M has been involved in since the Benzino Ja Rule beef in 2003. We got to talk about Mr. fucking weird masks on a fucking stage. Mr. recycles his insults, Machine Gun Kelly.
Now, let me ask this before we dive deep in. Do you think Machine Gun Kelly was an easy target because he clearly does not know how to close his mouth?
Yeah, yes and no. I don't know. My thing was just I saw people saying, if you think Rap Devil's better than Killshot, no, you're just wrong. Don't at me. You're wrong.
I will agree that the song's not better than Killshot, but I saw Machine Gun Kelly live, and I was aware of Machine Gun Kelly before this, and he's not great. But I saw him live opening for somebody, and I can't remember who it was. I'm gonna guess Fall Out Boy because I see Fall Out Boy like all the time. I'm guessing it was Fall Out Boy, and he had an energy and like a bounciness to him that I had not seen in him before, and I was like, huh, well, good for him. He took something out of this, and then he decided he was going to be Blink 182 for the new generation, which still doesn't work for me, but good for him. It seems like it's working out. What else can I say?
My thing is just he recycles the same insult he used for Eminem, the fucking beard's weird. Like that, he only has like fucking fourth grader insults for anybody he decides to start issues with. He used basically the same insult with Eminem, and then he uses basically the same insult except substitutes beard for masks with Slipknot. It's like, dude, you're not original. And most importantly, you're going to beef with Slipknot, who destroyed Limp Bizkit in the early 2000s. And you're going to go after Eminem, who has destroyed careers to the point where people don't even talk about them anymore. You're going to go after him? Yeah, good luck with that.
Biggest mistake he could have made was say anything positive or negative about his daughter. Like that's the red button you do not push.
Yeah, and clearly he didn't get the fucking memo. So yeah, we're talking about how great Killshot is, clearly.
Yeah, like even saying that I was like pleasantly surprised that Machine Gun Kelly put on a live show. There's absolutely no way that he won this battle. I wouldn't even say, because some people are like, oh, he ends up winning in the end because he's got that album. I'm like, Tickets to My Downfall is one of the most derivative emo albums of all time. Do not get me started. I did my college thesis on emo and analyzing third wave emo. Dude is terrible. Do not get me started. He did not win this. He did not win this so hard. He had to pretend to be somebody else. And because the social standing of emo in this country is so pathetic, people accepted him as actually a front runner of it. Like, oof. It's because people are so intent on wiping out every memory of the third wave that they will not recognize the people who are actually taking from My Chemical Romance and Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco and actually moving emo forward, and have to look backward at idiots like Machine Gun Kelly because they just want to hear Say It Ain't So, I Won't Go, Turn the Lights Off, Carry Me Out, what's that song called? All the small things over and over again.
Here's all I'm going to really add to that is one of our favorites, Mike, Matt Heafy from Trivium put it the best for the whole. I don't want this to turn into how much Machine Gun Kelly sucks, but I mean, Killshot basically is that. So fuck it, I'm going to add to it with this. Matt Heafy from Trivium put it the best. I'd like to formally diss Machine Gun Kelly for being 31 years old wearing a fucking 16-year-old pop punk cosplay identity on a fucking stage. Mr. Perfect. Squirt Gun Smelly. I mean, look, what's I'm just gonna cap it off with this. What's your favorite lyric from Kill Shot?
Fuck, I need to.
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm gonna Google the lyrics really quick.
Yeah, everybody pull it up because I remember my favorite, and I actually remember hearing M dropped this track on a trip that I was taking to go see Metallica in a different province. So my favorite is probably the line, "This motherfucking shit is like Rambo when he's out of bullets, so what good is a fucking machine gun when it's out of ammo?"
Actually, that might actually be mine.
That made me laugh at like, oh, you're done, man. You're done.
that was the line where he really did disarm Machine Gun Kelly.
I mean, some people would literally go that, oh, this is it. This had to give you a career to destroy it. Like some people would say that, but I feel like this, it's just like, it's literally rip. Can't remember which action movie it would have been. Maybe John Wick. I can't remember which offhand, but you know how in an action movie, when the action hero literally rips the person they're about to kill, they rip the gun out of their hands and then kill them with that same gun. It's like that.
Oh, here's another good one. Now I had an excuse on the mic to write not alike, but really I don't care who's in the right, but you're losing the fight you picked. Who else won in Kells? Attempt fails, buttons L's. That's a good one.
Oh yeah, and then pointing out the bad math, the yo Slim, your last 4 albums suck, go back to recovery. Oh shoot, that was 3 albums ago.
That might be my favorite one. Either that or I had to give you a career to destroy it, which
By the way, I gotta hone in on this though.
True too. It's like it was a D-list G-Eazy, and G-Eazy's at the C-list already.
I gotta hone in on
M
this
mixes
though.
him up. I think M mixes him up with G-Eazy at some point because he talks about him being balls deep in Halsey, which he never was. That was G-Eazy.
I gotta hone in on this though before we get to the next record, but yeah, my thing. God, I lost my train of thought just because. Just go listen to Kill Shot. It's a great listen. It's a great 4.5 minutes. I think it's almost so good that it should be on Kamikaze instead, that rather than a lot of the music on it. But at this point, though, it really does feel like M is kind of resting on his laurels when it comes to releasing albums, because it's at this point, 2 years later, we get another surprise record.
Music to be Murdered By.
Which I have way more positive feelings to say. Of all the recent 3 records, I have way more positive things to say about this one.
I think conceptually it's
a cool idea.
Yeah. It's a cool idea. If I knew nothing about like the past decade of M's music, and I like picked this up right after listening to Relapse, I would have assumed that this was just like the natural the natural follow-up to that record. It's not.
In places it is, because like I'm calling out Wikipedia on this. This is not a fucking horrorcore record except for specific songs.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not.
And that's honestly my biggest disappointment, is that, you know, the title, Music to be Murdered By,
and having all of that Hitchcock samples on it.
It sounds more appealing than the record ultimately is. Not that it's a bad record. Like it's above Recovery, it's above Revive. I think it's like just above Recovery, above Revival, and certainly above Encore.
My thing with, and by the way, just for basic information for everybody listening. We're just going to talk about side A and side B as if they're just one huge album, because I mean, we've got 36 songs we have to go through. So I mean, my thing is take the best songs from side A and side B, because from what I'm aware, M said in an interview with King Crooked from Slaughterhouse, he said that he had to hold some songs off of this album because he couldn't get the rights to the Hitchcock album to sample from. So he had to hold like certain tracks back, which kind of explains why we got side B later last year.
Oh, I was gonna say, how come like the Alfred's theme isn't on like the main record?
That would probably explain it, which that's actually one of my favorites. Like, yeah, for every corny line that's on it, it's like it's deliberately supposed to be that. It's not out of character for him to do something like that with the shady persona.
This album is way too fucking long though.
Oh
like,
God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is like Trippy Reed status of this is unnecessarily long. Like I said it earlier, but it took me literally 3 sit downs to get through this album once, just because it's a lot coming at you at one time. I think overall, I don't think it's a bad album, but it's almost 40 tracks of Eminem at you at once. Like, and of all the things I can say about Eminem, kind of aside from Revival, you can't really say that he's not in your face. It's no matter what Eminem album you're listening to, it can kind of be an exhausting experience. And 40 tracks of that's a lot. It's too much. And a lot of these aren't really worth even discussing, honestly. Some of them, they feel kind of very sketched off in a SoundCloud rapper sort of way.
I just listened to this last night, and most of it is honestly pretty forgettable, save for a couple of highlights, which we will talk about.
Oh, I'm still of the believer, take like maybe 10 of the best songs from side A, take 10 of the best songs from side B. You have a much more solid experience from the guy. I mean, got the fucking Ed Sheeran features. River sucked. Those Kind of Nights is worse, especially knowing got the return of your boy. Bizarre's back.
I was literally like screaming at my computer, like this can't be happening right now.
Here's the thing,
those kind of nights sounds like a song written in like the same era as Shake That and Smack That. Guys, and that's why it's got to go.
It really is.
I haven't heard the whole thing because every time it starts with that bizarre opening, I can't make it through the verse. I can't stand it. I'm not sorry. And just what are a bunch of love songs? What does this have to do with music to be murdered by? Like that just does not work for me. Godzilla is a good version of Kamikaze, but it does kind of prove why I do get some of the criticism people have about the whole fast rap thing. It's that, yeah, it does really feel like M is just wanting to show off what he can do on the mic, which it's impressive. And he does actually make it for a good listening experience on this song, but I really feel like he's starting to use it as a crutch.
Yeah, that's absolutely, like I mentioned it earlier, but there's one of the rappers in BTS, Suga. He's been doing this band's been together for 9 years, and he hasn't really developed anything beyond rapping fast. So that's kind of the crutch he relies on, and that's what a lot of M's fast rap stuff kind of feels like. It's like he really has to desperately impress you with how fast he's rapping, and it's like, great, M, but you've been in the game for almost 30 years at this point. How about a different time signature? How about maybe some kind of unique lyrics that are different? It's like, it's not as impressive to people as you think it is. It's that kind of feeling, I do really like the Juice WRLD feature. I like Juice WRLD. That's RIP Juice WRLD.
I am not a fan of a lot of modern hip hop beyond stuff like Run the Jewels, as I've mentioned. But and I am not going to act like I was big into Juice World while he was alive, not trying to
Same.
disrespect or anything, but the hook he does actually works for the track here, so that is impressive at least. We got to say this, it's the return of the Doc on at least like 5 songs at least.
Yeah, that is very much appreciated.
Yeah, Dr. Dre finally gets to produce for an Eminem album again, and I fucking love it.
I mean, the production on this is really, really well done. It's very slick. Yeah. You can tell just in the smoothness of how like the Alfred Hitchcock samples go in and out. It's got a much more cohesive, polished flow to it than a lot of the ones we've talked about today.
And Little Engine is a throwback to Relapse. It took me a little bit to appreciate that song more, but that's Little Engine is the underappreciated gem on side A, and we'll talk about my favorite on side B in a minute, but we kind of have to address like the big single Beyond Godzilla. How does everyone feel about Darkness?
I like Royce da 5'9's involvement.
I like the production. I actually really like that song. Honestly, it at least fits in with the theme of music to be murdered by, and at least it has the social consciousness done well, where Revival it wasn't done as well with a bunch of the pop features, but this actually worked for me here.
I think if the like lyrical content was a little bit more consistent and actually tied closer to the theme, this would be a much stronger record.
Oh, undeniably.
That's what I was going to say. If Unaccommodating wasn't on this album, I think that song would have landed a lot better.
And one of my favorites, actually, Yaya is like the perfect like throwback to old school hip hop that I think should be more frequent on his later records. Like I love Yaya. That's probably the song I play the most.
I was not expecting a Black Thought feature on an Eminem record. That was a very welcome surprise.
And
I did really like that, yeah.
And this is the closest to music to be murdered by the album really gets, because you find like M never really had Slaughterhouse on one of his records until they broke up and Joe Budden's not in the picture. So this is really the first time Slaughterhouse is on an M record.
One thing I wanted to point out about Yaya is it interpolates through its sample of I'm looking it up, of a Busta Rhymes. It interpolates an instrumental from the musical Hair, which I find extremely funny for some reason. But I also wanted to shout out the absolutely monster hook on Leaving Heaven. I don't think the song is great, but I think Skylar Grey is knocking it out of the park on that hook. She's doing everything she can to sell that damn thing to you. And the Leaving Heaven hook has been stuck in my head for a while. Because I've now that I think about it so many times.
Now I think about it, her hook is the reason why I like that song.
Oh, 100%. I don't think M's verse is anything special on it, but that hook, I wish we had just like a general dark pop song around that hook, because I think it would be pretty impressive.
I actually don't mind Leaving Heaven. It's black magic that I'm not a big fan of, but it is kind of a decent troll though to all the people. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm the biggest Skylar Grey fan on the planet, but I mean, it is kind of a nice troll to just be like, Alfred intro again, gets you hyped for the record. Another Skylar Grey featured track and produced by her. So, I mean, it is kind of a decent little troll and but for me, the best song, though, I don't know if you guys talked about it while I was away for 2 seconds, but my favorite has to be Discombobulated.
I can pretty much guess why, because This
It's
does
a
kind of.
total it's a total relapse track.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I mean, yeah, does it have a beat change that isn't relapse? Yeah, but it still works with the track and it's energetic. And what, to be honest, when he does the whole intro, I have some suspicion it might be he took a relapse one leftover and just used some of his vocals from like 2009 on it and just kind of layered his newer vocals on top. It kind of sounds like that to me.
I wouldn't be surprised if that turned out to actually be the case.
Especially on that particular song, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's kind of growing a little bit more appreciation for Relapse rather than just going like, that last Relapse album was like none of that. No, at least he has some appreciation for it. And we finally get DJ Premier on an Eminem record with Book of Rhymes, which I wish he did way more production on this song.
Same.
Yeah, like just imagine a whole album instead of just a hodgepodge of producers. Eminem, DJ Premier, Dr. Dre, maybe throw the Bass Brothers in there. That's your album.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I really miss what the Bass Brothers brought to the table.
I think he just needs some cohesiveness. Like, just pick one producer of the many you work with and go with it. Even if it ends up sounding like shit, at least it's all going to kind of sound more cohesive. You know?
And, have way less pop features and way more people who are either on your label or, people you've worked with before. I mean, just given that D12's not in the picture, but you're like, you want to help their career, like Swifty and Kaniva's career and Bizarre's career, even like at least have them do way more. I mean, even Mr. Porter's your new hype man now, so it's just kind of like, why aren't you getting more of them on your own? I mean, like, even though we don't particularly want Bizarre on a new M record, but I mean, you got my point, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the producer credits on Relapse and comparing it right next to Recovery, and wow, is it jarring? Like Relapse is probably like the last time that M has ever been consistent, both like lyrically and sonically. After that, it's really like it's just all been kind of downhill from there.
I wouldn't say
I don't even mind the pop features, honestly. He's just really bad at picking people that gel well with him. Like, I could name like 10 people right now that could do a decent pop feature with Eminem that would sound great. Like Aurora. She was the voice of the little spirits in Frozen 2, very popular Swedish singer.
Ooh, that would have been really good.
Yeah, get Dido again or something. Like, there's a lot of dark, like, I was thinking about it, kind of laughing to myself with Bad Guy, but he would make a damn good track with Phineas or Billie Eilish. Like, there's plenty of people out there that he would do great tracks with, and he's picking like fucking Ed Sheeran. Like, at some point, it's not because it's a pop track, it's because he's picking really bad people to feature with for his tone and his demeanor.
You know what? That
like,
might be
why
a
are
fair
you picking
assessment.
Ed Sheeran?
That's completely fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the metalhead who hates top 40, so I mean, I'm just clearly just gonna go, I'm opposed to this. So that's just my attitude. But everything you said, yeah, I pretty much agree with.
Yeah, it's really because I think a lot of people write off a lot of these kinds of things because they tend to be very poorly constructed. Like, just unbiased, like, obviously. But every once in a while you get like a good marriage of something. Like, I'm not going to pretend Camila Cabello is like a great artist or anything, but the way she picked that feature of Young Thug on Havana really elevated that album. And Eminem is not, or that track, and Eminem is not picking collaborators to elevate anymore. It's not like putting Dido on that Stand track. Like, that is a pick that elevates that track to something new. It's Like Beyonce is great, but Beyonce is not singing that hook well. I can think of like 5 other people who could sing the Walk on Water hook way better and in a more fitting way. Honestly, if you just had Skylar Grey do it, it probably would have sounded better. Like it just doesn't
because
work.
it actually was supposed to be Skylar.
Yeah, she wrote that song.
How does Skylar Grey keep getting fucked out of her biggest songs?
Let's just chalk it up to Interscope. I guess since we actually kind of decided to do this a lot because we got to talk about a huge elephant in the room, is that there is rumors we are expecting a surprise Eminem album either this month or sometime in the new year before his Super Bowl appearance with Dr. Dre, Snoop, and Kendrick, and Mary J. Blige. Can't forget her.
It's gonna be a great show. I'm just gonna throw that out there. That's gonna be a great show.
I am looking forward to his Super Bowl performance, but I'm gonna be honest. I have heard this rumor like a couple times over the past couple months, and each time it kind of feels like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Now I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is the album will drop like the Friday before Super Bowl 56, and of course like he'll be doing all like the usual press junkets and interviews, hyping up the record while also hyping up the halftime show. But I've been hearing this rumor as far back as like honestly the announcement of his performance,
like at least September. And I was actually just gonna say, I'm the guy who's always like, get Metallica to do the Super Bowl, but this would actually make me watch the halftime show for a change.
I mean, it's funny because I've been hearing the exact same rumors about Kendrick dropping something right before the Super Bowl too. I think it's just people being like, the Super Bowl.
It's supposed to be this aftermath takeover where M and Kendrick put out an album and then Dr. Dre puts out an album. That's what the rumor mill is right now. So I guess
does the rumor say the album is going to be Detox, or is Detox like dead in the water?
I have no fucking clue at this point. I think Detox is like that mystical unicorn that everybody talks about that exists, but I think at this point, I mean, we at least finally got that new Tool record, so I mean anything can happen. But true. I guess where does M go from here on the next record? I'm just kind of wondering, because to be honest, I'm getting kind of tired of the whole fast rap shtick and the pop features that he gets. I'll phrase it that way. And like, he does need to change it up on this next record, I'm kind of feeling.
I have a thought. What if his next record is much like how Jay-Z and Kanye West had Watch the Throne, and to a certain degree, Bad Meets Evil is another album in that similar regard. What if the next album is Eminem and Kendrick collaborating together?
That would be
I would be super interested in that, because Kendrick's been getting real weird with his stuff, and I think what Eminem needs is something to shock him out of this perpetual feedback loop of, someone doesn't like me, let me respond, they've responded, let me respond back, because that's what a lot of Music to Be Murdered By and Kamikaze felt like, where he's just kind of stuck in a time warp. It's like someone push him out of the loop so he can rap about something besides what people think about him.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just my impression of the fallout from Relapse at this point. And I think he needs different producers and not just a hodgepodge of like 12 different people. It needs to be something way more consistent, and he just needs to get back to something way more raw that works. And
yeah, maybe go ahead.
I don't really have much else to say other than I guess once Haley's done, how would you guys rank M solo catalog, I feel like the D12 albums, we both agree Devil's Night is the strongest of the two, and Haley doesn't have an opinion on Hell the sequel because she missed it, but how would you guys rank M's catalog?
So my point before this is like,
Yeah.
I would love to see M just go back to doing some sort of concept album. Get one producer, make a concept album. Don't care what the concept is, just do it. Concept could be like fucking walking through the park for all I care. Just get your thoughts on one thing and don't stray. And I think that'll help.
Agreed.
But going back to Mike was gonna go.
Okay, so how would I rank his discography? I think at the tippy top would be the Eminem Show. Then Marshall Mathers. Marshall Mathers and Slim Shady kind of tied at number 2. Then I would go Relapse. Then Marshall Mathers LP2. Then it would be Recovery, Revival. Kamikaze. Recovery, then Kamikaze, then Revival. Wait, nope. I gotta put Music to Be Murdered By above Kamikaze, then Revival, then 50 Piles of Dirt, then Encore. Oh, and Infinite somewhere in the middle.
I'm trying to find just like a convenient list of all of these in a row so I don't have to forget anything. 1 second.
I was going to go last, so.
All right, so I would say Eminem Show is top for me, followed by Relapse, honestly. I think I would go with Marshall Mathers LP next. Slim Shady LP and Marshall Mathers LP2 probably after that. Revival, I think I would throw on after that. Then Music to Be Murdered By Kamikaze and Recovery, or Music to Be Murdered By Kamikaze. Yeah, those two are just kind of, I don't really know. They're just kind of towards the bottom end. Then Recovery, and then Encore. I think I got everybody then.
And,
I didn't listen to Infinite. I couldn't find it.
Right. Mine. I'm actually going to start from worst, just because everybody knows Encore is going to be dead last. Nobody can argue to me that album is good.
That's why I put 50 Piles of Dirt between that and Revival.
Honestly,
video.
Encore is one of the worst albums ever made, much less one of the worst Eminem albums.
One YouTube video that was doing an Eminem ranking, once they put Encore at like number 5 or something, and they were like, I love that album. That album's the fucking greatest. And it's so, no, you're wrong. I shut it off because I was
God.
No, you're wrong, period. Encore sucks. Next. Revival. At least it has good ideas on it, but I'm not a fan. You should be critiquing it not because you don't like that he's going after somebody you vote for. You should be going after it because it's not a good record. Then for me would be Recovery, then Kamikaze. Well, Recovery or Kamikaze? I care more for Recovery than I do Kamikaze, but the good songs on Kamikaze do make me go back to them more than Recovery, so they're kind of interchangeable for me.
I think that's fair.
Then probably Infinite. Well, no, I don't feel like I should put Recovery over Infinite. I mean, Infinite's not bad. It's just not bad. It's at least an enthusiastic not bad. Then Music to Be Murdered By, because I at least like the ideas on it. Just he needs to mix it up for this next record that he's allegedly releasing. Then probably I would go, Marshall Mathers LP2. Then this is going to be a big hot take because I've I've kind of been feeling more of this lately, and I'm agreeing with people. Slim Shady LP's next, then Relapse, and
All
then
right.
tied for between 1 and 2, the Eminem Show and MMLP.
Okay. Well, that
So we,
makes
so we
sense.
all had pretty varied lists.
At least similar. At least we all agree Encore sucks.
I will defend Just Lose It, but I will not defend anything else. And I barely will defend Just Lose It. I just think it's stupid fun. But there's really nothing of value on that album.
It's a potato chip song.
Like I said in the first one, it's a weirdly accurate portrayal of a night out going horribly wrong.
It is an example of a man sabotaging his own career, and one part of me respects it, but at the same time, it does not make for an entertaining listen. But enough of trashing on Encore. I guess how do you guys want to close this out then?
I think we pretty much said our closing thoughts. Well, actually, I'll say this. Considering where the albums fell on each of our lists, would you say that Eminem has had a better career at the start, like pre Encore or post Relapse?
I would actually say, you know what, even if there are albums you prefer, even if there are albums that you don't like, he at least gives you something to talk about with each record.
I think,
and that's what
Oh,
makes
go
him
ahead.
interesting to begin with, is just that every album, regardless if we hate Encore or if we don't like Revival or don't like Recovery's production or don't like Rick Rubin's production on MMLP2 or Revival, or think Slim Shady LP is a 90s ass 90s hip hop record, but regardless, like, he at least gives you something interesting to talk about regardless of the quality of the record, and that's what makes him engaging.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say is, like, I think you can't really argue that the stuff he did pre-Encore was kind of revolutionary, but it is extremely impressive that a man of his age, who's had enough potentially career-ending nonsense happen to him, that he's still selling and like charting the way he is. Because I was actually looking at this today. It's impressive. The dude, basically everything he has released since Revival, nothing he's released has not charted in some way, and usually usually charts in the top 40. Now that's basically unheard of, especially for someone whose career is getting to be 30 years old. It's pretty impressive.
Eminem is probably one of the few like legacy acts in hip hop who's still like an active contributor of the genre. Like, I other than like Jay-Z and maybe a few others, I don't think anyone has had a career as long and as long as consistent, as in consistently active, as Eminem. And I think that that should definitely be commended.
Yeah. And regardless of where the guy goes on the next record, guaranteed we're probably going to be back here talking about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think that'll do for now.
Yeah.
This has been a great two-parter. I really like the chance to kind of branch out from our usual discussions and kind of explore other genres. I'm looking forward to continuing this like these artist retrospectives in the future. If there's a band or artist that you want us to talk about, certainly let us know. But for now, Haley, where can everyone find you online or not find you?
They can't find me. I'm in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group, but otherwise I don't really have a whole lot of social media. Sorry. Shrug.
And Nick, where can everyone find you?
You can mainly find me on Instagram at Super Saiyan Death Metal God, and I would be on Twitch, but Catherine Isabel from horror movies like Ginger Snaps and American Mary, she is currently on hiatus from streaming, so once she returns to that, you can find me on there and you can come hang out and talk her movies with me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/Coach K42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. Find us on Podchaser. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need to escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Jukebox. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Bye, kids.